Hi and welcome to Retro Eric. Today I'm going to show you 4 ways you can copy files across to your old computer. Before I show you the 4 ways of copying across files from newer computers over to your old retro computer, I'm just going to give you a short description of how my IBM PC is configured. This is a portable computer. It has USB ports, it has a PCMCIA port, and a parallel port and a serial port. And we will use, four ways of copying over files. So we'll use most of these ports and connections. But first, as you can see here, I have 5 choices when it comes to the boot up. I'm using MS-DOS 6.22 and I'm running on a SD card with a SD to IDE interface. My first and default choice is using extended memory with mouse and power management driver. My second choice is expanded memory and mouse driver. My third choice is extended memory, mouse, CD-ROM and palm zip. And then I have expanded memory and I've also added USB. And lastly, I have conventional memory if I need to do stuff that doesn't handle other drivers or any conflicts. Okay, let's use my default choice number 1. And I'll show you the config.sys. There we are. First of all, I always use switches equals /F. That reduces boot time with about 2%, 2 seconds. DOS equals high in UMB, break on, files 40, buffers 20, stacks 9.256. I have at least one game that needs stack this high, or you can just leave it out. I'm sure it will work fine on 99% of all games and programs. And because I have so many devices on this machine, I need last drive equals H. Okay, the first I have here is the extended memory configuration. They all include HiMemSys to load DOS into high memory. But this you maybe haven't seen before. Instead of using EMM386 or equivalent drivers for memory extensions, this is a small driver that lets you use upper memory on certain machines. Not all motherboards and chipsets is agreeable with this driver, but luckily this machine is. So I can actually use upper memory without putting the DOS or computer in protected mode as it would be with EMM386. So that's a big plus. And also you have some games and demos that don't like EMM386, but they work fine with umbpci. Okay, then I'm loading the PAM zip driver. That's the driver that lets me use my Iomega ZIP drive with a parallel port. The /C only loads the driver if it finds the Iomega ZIP drive. So if it doesn't find it, it'll just continue and doesn't use any memory. Since I live in Norway, I like to use my Norwegian keyboards. So these 2 lines are for Norwegian settings. ANSI is to get correct colors and correct ANSI ASCII display. And I'm doing my part to save the planet, so I'm also loading the Power PCI. That basically means that if your motherboard supports it, your MS-DOS will go into power saving mode. If you're not using it for, I think it's about 2 minutes, that's the default. I love 4DOS, so I always replace the command com with 4DOS com, and this is the line to do that. So this is my second version. I'm still using this upper memory PCI driver, and I'm still using extended memory, but now I'm also adding the CD driver, and the USB driver. So we'll continue to EMM, or EM I mean. This loads EMM386 and sets the RAM to expanded memory. Some games or programs needs expanded memory. It's a bit slower than extended memory, but probably not something you would see. And this is the same version. I'm still using EMM386 to get expanded memory, and I'm adding palm zip, CD-ROM driver, and USB driver. And the rest is, yeah, country Norwegian character sets. And lastly, I have nothing on the CM, which is the choice if you choose conventional memory. You'll get here, and we won't load anything, not even HiMemSys. Okay, let's exit the config.sys and let's see at autoexec.bat. Echo off, and the prompt, the way we like it. See here that the P is capital. If you use a smaller key, your drive letter will be printed in, well, not capital. Okay, verify on. When I write files to disk, it verifies that it's actually written. It makes the writing a bit slower, but since I'm using an SD card anyway, it's super quick, so I don't see any difference. The color there makes my directories and file names based on their last name. 3 last characters. Gives them a nice color, and it's easy to spot the different type of files. You probably know about this set blaster for your sound blaster, and this to get your keyboard responding quicker. So this is just a message saying that after loading the USB DOS driver, you have to actually type DOS USB to make it work. This is just a continuation of the CD-ROM driver. These two here are to set Norwegian character set. This one is to Norwegian keyboard, and then Qt mouse or CT mouse, usually a part of FreeDOS. It's probably the smallest and most compatible mouse driver out there. I load smart drive. I'm not sure why, because the SD card is so quick anyway, but I have 15-16 megabytes of memory in this machine, so that is not a problem either. And this is to initialize my Sound Blaster card on this portable laptop. If you choose the last option, the conventional memory, as you can see here, nothing will happen. No drivers, nothing will start. Now you have seen my configuration, and we can start looking into the different ways of copying across files. Way number one, it's Laplink. It has one big advantage, and that is that you can copy across files to our computer with no hard drive or no floppy drive working. Well, you need some sort of stuff to get it working. You need to boot DOS, but if you are able to boot DOS, you don't even need Laplink installed on that machine to use Laplink to copy across programs. Of course, you need a Laplink cable. A Laplink cable is just a null modem cable. That's a serial cable where pin 2 is not going to pin 2 on the other side, but is going to pin 3, and vice versa. And pin 2 and 3 are send and receive. So what you do, you connect the serial cable to both computers, and on the machine that does not contain the Laplink tree, you have to type in these two commands. The first command is mode con1. This basically sets the communication port 1 to the correct speed and parity and stop bits, etc. You can of course use 2400, that is the slowest, but you can also try to increase it to, for instance, 9006 or even higher. Check the manual of your computer to see how much it supports. And of course, if you're not using COM1, you have to change this to the right port number. After typing that first command, you type CTTY and then the number of the COM port, COM1 in this particular instance, and your computer is now ready to receive a copy of Laplink 3 from the other computer. On the other computer, you just start Laplink, and as you can see here, attempting link to remote system. And if you've written those two lines on the other computer, you can press F10 and it will transfer Laplink to the other computer, and you can use it to copy across all the files you need. Laplink is, at least with this version, a very slow process. The max speed of serial port is 0.1 megabit per second. Using Laplink to copy over programs is the slowest of the four ways I'm going to show you today. But this is the strong side. The upside is that you don't need anything installed on the remote or the old computer. Of course, you can use new versions of Laplink, and then you can activate turbo modus. That is basically a compression. It will only make it faster if you have a quick computer. And with the newer version of Laplink, you can also use the parallel port with a parallel cable. And then you can get quite decent speeds. Okay, that was all I wanted to say about Laplink. Let's move over to Iomega ZIP drive. Okay, I'm back to the boot menu, and option number 3 is extended memory with a PAM ZIP driver. So I'll start this one and I'll pause. And what we see there is no driver or unknown option, PAM ZIP not installed. This is the PAM ZIP driver that does not see any Iomega ZIP drive connected to this machine at the moment. I haven't bothered finding my zip drive, but trust me, the only thing you have to do is connect your parallel port zip drive to your parallel port on your computer and run this PAM ZIP driver from config.sys. It cannot be easier than that. I'll open the config.sys again to have a second look at it. And as we can see here, it's nothing to it. It will, with the /c, it will only load if it finds an Iomega ZIP drive. And it only takes up about 2 kilobytes of memory. And it's quick, and it uses the first available drive letter to connect your zip drive to. So it's very easy to use. This PAM ZIP driver is usable on 8086 machines. If you remember using the Iomega ZIP drive in the older days, there was a driver that came with the system called guest.exe, but guest.exe only works on 286 machines and newer, and it also eats up a much larger piece of your memory. The speed on the Iomega ZIP is better than Laplink. You remember the Laplink could do 0.1 megabit per second. The Iomega ZIP on a parallel port can do 1.6 megabit per second if your printer port is set to EPP or ECP mode. In standard mode, you are down to a much lower speed. Also remember that these speeds are theoretically 1.6 megabit. It's if you're copying across large files. If you have a folder with a lot of small files, it could take at least 10 times that amount, maybe even more than that. But the Iomega ZIP is good because on an older computer it would actually work as and a hard drive, and the speed is also okay compared to an old MFF drive. It's actually not that big a difference. So using an Iomega ZIP drive as your hard drive on a 8086 or maybe a 286 is quite okay, and it works fine. I've done that myself on my Schneider PC. It's a 8086 machine running 9 megahertz. And for a long time I had a boot disk. The only thing it did was boot up the system, install the PAM-ZIP driver, and the rest was run from the Iomega ZIP drive. Worked perfectly, and it was a lot quicker than you would expect. Okay, we're back in the boot menu. I'm going to show you now how to use your USB port to copy across files. It's also quite easy. It's all easy when you know how to. Look at this screen and you'll see that the USB is only mentioned under expanded memory. That is because there is some sort of conflict if I use it together with the umbpci driver that I'm using under extended memory. So I'm starting it up and I'm pausing it. The first thing we see is that it has successfully installed the CD-ROM driver, and then it starts the DOS USB driver version 2. The drive letter is assigned to G, and it found one device. And then it comes up with a text saying start dosusb.com before accessing the disk. And there you have it. It's so easy. The link for DOS USB, I'll put that of course in the descriptions, but I just visited this site a few days ago when doing some research for this video, and I can see that earlier it was free, but now you have to pay for it. What do we do now? Well, if you remember, it says type DOS USB to activate USB driver. So we'll do that. DOS USB. It found device at full speed on port 1. It says it found a Kingston data traveler. So let's try it. Oh yeah, there we have it. So, and what's the speed on USB? Of course, now you could use Directory Navigator or Norton Command or anything to copy across your files. The speed of USB 1.1 port that this machine has is 12 megabit per second. If you remember, the Iomega ZIP drive on a parallel port was 1.6 megabit per second. So using a USB port to copy across file is way faster. If you have a USB 2 port, the theoretical max speed is 480 megabits per second. And that's just a lot more. We are back to the start menu, and I'm now going to choose conventional memory only, because I'm going to start the PC card or PCMCIA card driver. At least on this machine it conflicts with something when I'm using the extended and the expanded memory. So I'm just using conventional memory only. Of course that eats up a lot of my memory because I don't have any upper memory I can put drivers into. I only need it to access the PCMCIA card and they copy across some files. So it doesn't matter. So I'll choose it. Super quick because there's nothing to load. And I type the name of the driver, and that is Unata. You can download Unata for free. You'll just check the links below. And as you can see here, you can enter a serial number, or you can just press enter and wait till it counts down. And you can use this program for 14 days. But it's very easy to work around this 14 days, because what you do, you delete it and you unpack the zip file again, so you get a fresh executable file, and then you have 14 new days. So it looks like the countdown is somehow stored in the exe file that you unpack from the zip file you download. So it's very easy. As you can see, it gives me access to my PC card on drive G. So there we are. Start DOS Navigator, going to drive G, and now I can copy across many files I want, and it's super quick. The speed, at least the theoretical speed, is 1064 megabits per second. That's more than double the speed of USB 2. And it's more than, it's about 800 times faster than the parallel port. This is the quickest way if you need to copy across big files or a large number of files. I can copy this over. Yeah, that was about 2.5 megabytes in a few seconds. So that was it. I think I've covered it all now with 4 ways of copying across. I hope you liked it, and I hope you learned something from it. And if you did, please subscribe to my channel.